Spinners have long since been an iconic part of Ninjago, providing cheap and easy ways to collect your favourite characters so that they can do battle. They've taken many different forms over the years, with the current Dragon Power spinners now in stores. But before we look at those, let's go back and take a look at how Ninjago's most iconic gimmick has changed over the years. Of course, we begin with the originals released back when Ninjago first began in January 2011. These were released in many different waves, giving multiple different colours and print designs for different characters. In fact, Samukai was the only minifigure in 2011 not to have a spinner, and while I don't personally own the ones for regular Wu, Cole, Crazy or Knuckle, they still had them. The main ninja got spinners with a colour matching their element, while the Skulking Warriors had black spinners with different colour skull prints on them. The DX Ninja all had golden spinners, which in a way represents the more gold their Spinjitzu had when they held the golden weapons in the pilots. Knuckle, Cruncher and Whiplash had glow-in-the-dark skull details on their spinners, although it is quite faint. And then we got a fully transparent blue spinner for Wu DX and a fully transparent purple spinner for Garmadon, which just looks fantastic. A typical 2011 spinner set contained 5 game cards with some bricks, the all-important spinner, a minifigure and 3 weapons for battle. With the figure holding a weapon, the idea was to turn it to the side like so, allowing for the weapon to easily clash with another minifigure as they were spinning. The spinner has this small turntable in the centre where the figure slots in, and then there is simply this round tile on the bottom to let it spin easily. Lining the arrows up on the turntables with the spinner would lock it into position, ensuring the figure would slot as far down into it as possible, preventing the figure from flying off before spinners could even clash. Now in place, spinning it was as easy as this. The J vs Fracture starter set included a small spinner arena build which could use to keep the spinners in one place as they battled. With all these characters getting spinner cards, there were plenty of ways to play the game and keep it fresh. Here's a selection of cards whose purpose was simply to customize spinners, often using the blocks that were included, providing different ways to place the blocks on the spinners and try to improve your chances of winning the battle. Some spinners also included clips so you could add more weapons onto the spinner too. Then there were cards intended to change how the figure stands on the spinner, giving you either an advantage or a disadvantage, as well as cards that you use to interact with the spinners in the game like snow surfing here. By including the card game with the spinners, there was so much variety in just how you could use the spinners. You weren't just limited to sticking the figure in the middle and spinning it away. 2012 took everything great about the original spinners and dialed it up to 100 with brand new spinner crowns to help increase customizability. A typical 2012 spinner set, much like 2011, came with 3 weapons. The spinner now with a spinner crown, 5 game cards as before, and a minifigure. The figure sat inside the spinner just as before, using the same locking system with the central turntable, with the crown now giving a little bit of extra protection too. Spinning was just like in 2011, with 2 figures able to battle it out in an arena. Arenas that could now be expanded with parts from other sets, like the snake statue from the Kendo Kai pack. New for 2012 were booster packs, which complemented the spinners with extra game cards, more minifigures and extra shields and weapons to add onto the spinner. You see, unlike 2011, 2012 spinners now had 3 holes in the bottom which allowed for different weapons to be attached, weapons that would fly out to the side as it spun. The card game also returned with almost every character getting a set, the exceptions being the 5 Serpentine Generals, Wu, Snike, Garmadon and Kendo J. There were 5 basic spinner crown designs, with each one getting different colours and prints for each character. The Winter and Spring spinner wave came with these 2. This red one with its spikes was used for all of the ninja, while the yellow one with its 4 snake heads is for, well, you guessed it, the Serpentine. In the Summer wave, a new ninja crown was released with the NRG spinners, using a similar design to the original but now with studs on top to add even more customizability to it. The snake crown for the summer is my favourite. I love that they were all transparent in colour and just like the ninja now have studs for more customization options. All 3 autumn wave spinners had this crown, another variation of the ninja crown and also always transparent. The crowns easily snapped on top of spinners and you could mix and match however you like to build a great variety of spinner designs. The new crowns also played a role in the card game, with many different cards allowing you to add or remove a crown to your spinner. Some cards also required your spinner to be wearing a crown in order to be played, and just like in 2011, there were many cards giving you options for customization with different weapons and shield builds. As an example, here's the Snake Whips card, which shows how to attach the weapons and shields from Mesmo's booster pack, and we can face off against Lazaro's Poison Whips in battle. The addition of booster packs gave great new options for these spinners, with even more variety than what 2011 offered. There was even still cards that changed how the figure stood on the spinner too. Overall, 2012 spinners were such an incredible step forward over the 2011 spinners, and they absolutely still hold up to this day. If another spinner type that we will look at later didn't exist, these would hands down be my favourite spinners from the whole theme. After a 3-year break, spinners finally made their return with 2015's Airjitzu Flyers. Released as part of the Possession set wave, these spinners introduced the flying gimmick to Ninjago. It contained one Airjitzu Flyer, obviously, as well as a minifigure and an assortment of weapons. The main build consisted of the handle, which you could grip easily to launch the flyer however you like. The Airjitzu Flyer sits in the top, ready for takeoff. It's quite different compared to the original spinners, but it does make sense. These were intended for flying. The minifigure sits inside this clear capsule, which snaps together easily and then slots into the main flyer like so. Once it's all set up, the ripcord holds it together and then you can rip it out and send the ninja flying into the sky. The harder you pull it, the faster and higher it will fly. Once it lands down, it will remain spinning on the ground too, and you could also turn the whole thing upside down and spin it exclusively on the ground. 6 Airjitzu Flyers were released with Morrow, Wraith and also the first ever non-canon ninja suits. However, that wasn't really a problem because not only did we get all 4 ninja in 2015 and then Lloyd and Nia in 2016, but in a way it was easy to imagine these as NRG ninja for all of their black suits, keeping the 2012 NRG ninja for their other suits. It was good variation. It was sad to lose the card game and battle aspect of the spinners, but it did make sense for Airjitzu. Some sets also integrated the spinners into them, like the Ronin REX, which used an Airjitzu handle build as a handle for the actual airship, as well as using the Airjitzu ripcord to spin the propellers at the front, and launching the spinner into the air. 2016's Airjitzu Battlegrounds gave us a flyer finial with a light blue colour. 2 Airjitzu handles were built into the main set, disguised as big grey pillars. They were easily removable so you could use them just like any other launcher, but as well as that there were these 2 large builds at the side. These were giant launchers for Airjitzu Flyers. The flyer would slot in next to the tyre and sit in place ready for you to launch. Pulling the handle would send the flyer down the channel where it would spin on the ground. They couldn't fly using this, so the idea was just to have them spin in the temple grounds, but it was still nice to have another option to use for the spinners. Overall, I think Airjitzu was a fine addition to Ninjago's spinner collection, and while it lacks a lot of what the original spinners had, I think the flying gimmick and show accuracy makes them a good collection to have. 2018's Spinjitzu Masters took the Airjitzu capsule system and used it on spinners that couldn't fly, and I'll be honest, I think these are the worst spinners we've gotten. We got 7 spinners for this collection, with 6 as gimmick sets and 1 in the SOG headquarters set. 1 for each ninja and another golden one for Lloyd, which you could easily use as a woo spinner if you liked. The sets all came with a spinner and its handle, a minifigure and a small weapon stand built, which is actually pretty good. The handle was very similar to the Airjitzu handles and it used the same ripcord and capsule system to hold the figures. The spinners were smaller than Airjitzu and filled in the middle to prevent them from flying. These spinners were paired up with ninja minifigures that honestly might be some of the worst we've gotten. I think they should have just put the regular Sons of Garmadon suits in, or the black training suits, rather than going for a weird half NRG, half regular form that only really looks decent on Lloyd. Spinning them was just as easy as it was with Airjitzu. By pulling the ripcord you could launch it off wherever you like, and you could spin them upside down too thanks to the same capsule system. One small benefit over not being able to fly is that they were also able to spin sideways, something that wouldn't work with Airjitzu, so that's unique to them. But honestly, it's not enough to make these spinners stand out, and so between poor figures and reusing Airjitsu's gimmick without the ability to fly, they just don't fare well against everything else we've gotten. The Summer 2018 spinners, however, don't have this problem. They took Airjitsu's gimmick and did something interesting with it. 5 were released for Wu and the 4 ninja trapped in the first realm. Each set consisted of just the handle, spinner and a single minifigure with no other accessories except shurikens. The handle is huge with a bend built in to position the flyer at an angle rather than facing straight up like the previous 2 spinners. The flyer is a basic Airjitzu flyer with a giant plastic sheet clipped on for the wings, which will help it glide through the air. Just like Airjitzu, the figure sits inside the capsule like so, and then you pull on the ripcord to send it flying off. Each ninja had a unique design for their wings, which I think brings back some of the spirit of the original spinners with their different prints and crowns. The minifigures in these spinners sadly weren't canon either, but these suits look great, and it was a nice change to not get a weird NRG form, instead getting these suits that make the ninja look like they're wearing parachutes over their robes. It was also nice to get a full-on ninja suit for Wu. On the whole, I think these were good. They're nothing extraordinary, but it was a fun and unique gimmick with some good minifigures. In 2019, spinners changed once more. I actually already made a video going over why I think these are the best spinners Ninjago has ever had, just slightly taking the edge over the 2012 spinners. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out after this video. Each Legacy spinner set came with a minifigure, 3 builds clipped to a spinner stand, and the spinner itself, designed to actually look like a Spinjitzu tornado for the first time ever. The minifigure sat inside the tornado where you could easily spin it away into battle. Those small builds could be removed from their stands and attached to the spinner by the 4 balls moulded into it. There were small claws for stealth mode, weapons for attack mode, and shields for defense mode. Every spinner had 3 different builds included, so there was a huge range of customizability with them once again, just like the spinners of 2011 and 2012. The minifigures included were of course the Legacy figures, and these were actually canon to the show. If there was a ninja you couldn't get from any of the main sets you wanted, you could just pick them up cheaply from here, and that's great, and that's what spinners were always about. We even get Lord Garmadon. While he didn't look like this in March of the Oni, it was probably one of the most accurate Legacy remakes ever made, so for anyone who missed out on him in 2012, you were in luck. Overall, legacy spinners were truly special. Canon minifigures that weren't exclusive, tornadoes that were finally show accurate and look brilliant, and a wide range of options to customize the spinners made these a great collection to obtain. Some legacy sets also included these small spinning sticks. You could attach a minifigure to them and then roll it around to spin the character around, using them to make figures fight. They were also compatible with legacy spinners by removing the tile at the bottom and simply attaching the spinner on top so you can control how it spins. Summer 2019 introduced Forbidden Spinjitzu. There were 4 gimmick sets and then 6 spinners released in the regular sets too. The FS gimmick sets contained an FS Ninja minifigure, the FS spinner with a brand new launcher build, and then some small builds to launch the spinner at. Because there were gimmick spinners and spinners in the normal sets, some characters ended up with multiple, with the set spinners having glitter inside the transparent section to set them apart. The launcher worked by replacing the tile at the bottom with a new piece which screwed into place. Then you simply slam down on the handle and watch the spinner launch into action. Only 4 of the 6 ninja had these gimmick sets, sadly a sign of things to come, with Kai coming as part of a spinner battle pack with a Blizzard Samurai warrior. The minifigures all had exclusive torso and face prints plus exclusive FS masterpiece, so the fact we didn't get these for Cole and Nia is a real shame, because this NRG version of FS is sadly an incomplete collection. It was also a weird decision because in the regular sets, the FS figures were just their regular suits with an FS hood on top, and a different colour too. The spinners were easy to spin without the launchers too, just like the legacy spinners. I don't think they look as good though. They were smaller and also lacked the bars to allow for customization, but they're not terrible. 2020's Master of the Mountain Wave brought us Spinjitzu Burst, each one with 1 ninja minifigure and a redesigned version of the FS spinner launcher. The spinner itself was an interesting gimmick. It consisted of 4 panels held together with an elastic band, which does unfortunately clash with the colour scheme. The minifigure stands inside, and if you slam the handle hard enough, the spinner will burst into action, throwing the 4 panels out with a centripetal force, and then eventually snapping back into a tornado thanks to the elastic band. It was a cool idea, and when it works, it looks great, but again, they included NRG minifigures that weren't in the show, and we only got them for Kai, Lloyd and Cole, leaving us with another incomplete collection. The main sets also had these dice, which sort of worked like spinners with a figure stood in the middle, so I thought why not mention them here. That was it for spinners until 2022, where Core sort of merged the 2018 spinners with the FS spinners. They included an NRG Ninja minifigure, a small build to train with, and the big spinner itself. The spinner actually looks like a tornado again, which is good to see, and it has a giant clear capsule on top connected to the ripcord, sort of an inversion of the Airjitzu ripcord system. The capsule snaps off, letting you sit the ninja inside. Having the ripcord on top instead of below means that you can actually use these spinners without the capsules too, spinning it just like you would with an FS spinner. That wasn't possible with the 2018 ones, where the figure had to be in the capsule in order to spin it. Having the ripcord system below the spinner was obviously necessary for Airjitzu Flyers, but for regular spinners, Core definitely improved it. Spinning it with the ripcord is easy and it will spin fast. Sadly though, nothing for Cole or Nia, and while Zane had a spinner, he also lacks an NRG form. And now we've finally come to 2023 with Dragons Rising's Dragon Power spinners. So far, 3 of these have been released for Lloyd, Kai and Nia. Each spinner has 3 Dragon Energy cores stored in place around the minifigure. You can pop them out easily to use for something else if you want, but they just snap into place like so. The sets all come with obstacles and Imperium drones to fight against, and unlike all the other spinners we've seen previously, each spinner has a different and unique gimmick to it. Lloyd's is just a regular spinner, he stands in the middle and spins into battle very easily, and the centerpiece is lowered down to prevent the energy cores touching the floor as it spins, which isn't the case for Kai or Nia. Kai's is the Dragon Power flip, and as you can guess, by pushing down on one of the 3 side builds hard enough, the entire spinner will flip over. It's a fun feature that helps the spinner stand out as something unique, and yet it also doesn't take away from the spinner's main function as, well, a spinner. You can still spin it the same way as Lloyd's spinner. Nia's is the Dragon Power drift, and the design for the build is very different from Kai's. Instead of hitting the side to make it flip, this one has another unique ability to it. Press down on the back section and the spinner will launch forwards, flinging itself into any obstacles nearby. The harder you press down on it, the faster and further it will travel. Again, as well as this special drifting feature, you can also spin it just like Lloyd's, giving you more ways to play. Those Dragon Energy cores also helped Zane's Dragon Power Spinjitzu car to spin too, and I cannot wait to see how these are used in future sets to keep revolutionising Ninjago's spinners. They've taken many forms over the past 12 years and had many ups and downs, but it is truly remarkable that in 2023, we are still getting unique and fun spinner sets that can stand out from what came before, while still encapsulating the feeling of the originals. If I were to give a top 3 of everything we've looked at, my picks would be the 2019 Legacy spinners, 2012 spinners, and then the new Dragon Power spinners. And if you want to see those new spinners in more detail, make sure you click on screen right now to check out my full review of them. If not, then be sure to watch another video on my channel, and I'll see you again very soon.